necessity for the ending of affirmative action more than a black president, the highest office in the land. If you made that, you don't need any special help, any special assistance. You may be called to go up to Albany again. If you're called to go up to Albany again, be armed by this history. So we went up to Albany. And we conducted our rally there. Those were very, very heady times. HEOP was in a state of transformation. HEOP was in a state of transition in 1995. And now, 13 years later, the legacy of that rendezvous with destiny, is not known by any of my brothers and sisters. That hurts me. That hurts me. That great rendezvous with destiny is not known by any of us. It's got to be known. It's got to be known how the people struggled to maintain this program. I'm deeply concerned about this fact that this history of struggle in 1995 is not known. I'm deeply concerned about the tendencies toward self-destruction and cynicism that exist among young people today. I got to tell the truth. After the day, some of you may never see me again. And some of you are hoping you never see me again. But at least you won't be able to say that I didn't tell you the truth. At least you'll be able to say, well, I may not want to listen to it, but at least he told me the truth. I'm concerned about this self-destruction that goes on among young people and this cynicism that goes on among young people. I'm concerned about this lack of focus that goes on among young people. How young people can't even sit before you for a few moments and listen to some serious talk without drifting off into some fantasy world. I'm concerned about this. That's not the history of young people. Who were the greatest fighters during the civil rights era? Young people. Who led the marches in South Carolina and Nashville? Young people. Who was Emmett Till? 14-year-old boy. Who led the march on the bridge in Mississippi? Young people. Who were the 3 civil rights workers that got killed in Mississippi? Young people. Rosa Parks was a fairly young woman herself in 1954. Young people. And so if our young people are not going to be at the vanguard leading the attack, we're in trouble. We got to tell our young people our story and our glory. One of the reasons why I don't give you any black history in school, any Latino history, because they don't want you to know anything about yourself. Because the people who know something about themselves are empowered. And if you don't know anything about yourself, you're not empowered to do anything. So if I talk to an audience of black students, and I say, who was Henry Highland Garnett? Everyone knows who Frederick Douglass was. But I say, who was Henry Highland Garnett? Few people can tell me. Probably in this room, maybe 1 or 2 people could tell me. If I said to a group of high school students just last week, I said, well, tell me one speech that Martin Luther King ever gave besides I Have a Dream. some people could quote, say, the last speech that he gave the day he died. Say, well, tell me something else. And here's a man who gave thousands of speeches. Surely you should be able to tell me 3 speeches that he gave. But see, we've allowed Dr. King's birthday to drift into a Macy's white sale. So people go out on his birthday trying to catch a sale rather than to engage in some serious thought. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about it. I mean, who will be the griots to tell the story of HEOP struggle? Who will be the storytellers to tell that story? Who's going to tell that story to future generations of students who are sitting here just like you? If we let that story die, nobody's going to tell that story. This country was founded on the premise that it wanted to be a more perfect union. It's only going to be a more perfect union if we, the people, make it a more perfect union. I mean, who's going to be our protectors? Who's going to be our new strugglers? Who will it be? And I challenge you to make that someone you. It has to be you. It must be you. It must be you telling this story. You may be asking why. Well, in my conclusion, take a trip with me in time. Take a trip with me for a few moments into the 19th century. Let your eyes close for a minute and just drift into 1895. The great man, Frederick Douglass. He's returning home from giving a speech on women's suffrage. 1895. You're in 1895 now. Let 2008 just drift out of your consciousness for a moment. 1895, you're drifting. Frederick Douglass is returning to his home in Washington, in Cedar Hill. And if you've ever been there, I encourage you to go down to Washington, see the White House and the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial and the Capitol, see all of that. But we as people with some consciousness, we need to go to Frederick Douglass's house too. A lot of you didn't even know it was in Washington. Go to his house. 1895, he's returning home from giving this speech. He's met at his home by a young man from Howard University. And this young man from Howard University desires to speak to this great man, Frederick Douglass. He desires to just talk to Frederick. He desires just to meet him. Suddenly and abruptly, Frederick Douglass suffers a heart attack. And Frederick Douglass, suffering this heart attack, he's rushed into his bedroom. And Frederick Douglass, sensing that his end is near, sensing that this is the heart attacks of heart attacks, and that he will soon perish, he will soon leave this planet, he sends for this young man from Howard University. And this young brother realizes also that a legend is about to go the way of all flesh. A legend is about to die before his very eyes. He's been propelled into a great state in history. He inquires of Frederick Douglass, what advice would Frederick Douglass give to young people? When you get as old as I am, you're always giving advice to young people. Now, a lot of that advice you didn't live to yourself when you were young, but that's the nature of things. We learn. So this young man says, Frederick Douglass, what advice would you give to young people? What would you tell young people in 1895? And the revered Frederick Douglass, knowing that his heart attack is fatal, he pauses and he gasps for air. Difficult for him to breathe, difficult for him to talk. But he utters 3 simple words. He says, the advice that I would give to young people is to agitate. 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 So I'm going to leave you with that word today. The advice that I give to you is to trouble the waters, to stir up things, to rise up, to disturb, to agitate. There's a song that I like very, very much. And I don't know why I like it. It's sung by Barry Manilow. Yeah. But I like the lyrics. I often told my mother, she said, isn't that song sung by Barry Manilow? But I just like the song. The song says, I write the songs that make the whole world sing. I write the songs of love and special things. I write the songs that make the young people cry. I write the songs. I write the songs. So, in my conclusion, I'm asking you, let us all write a song for the downtrodden about how we cared, how we shared, how we fought valiantly to help them survive. Let's write a song about how we created our own institutions of learning. Maybe we can create our own schools and teach our own history and tell our own stories. Let's write a song how, in spite of obstacle after obstacle, in spite of a governor saying years ago that all is needed is an 8th grade education for a person to make it. Let's write a song about how we fought oppression, how we were in earnest struggle for freedom, justice, and equality in America. And when you write that song, I'm going to help you sing it. You know, princes will come out of Egypt. Like that song. I don't know how you came to New York Tech, but you're going to leave New York Tech under the guidance of HEOP as a prince or a princess. Princes were coming out of New York Tech. Princes out of the HEOP program at Columbia and NYU are coming out of those. Princes are coming out of HEOP programs all across this state. And Ethiopia will soon stretch forth her hand to God with your help. Ethiopia will soon stretch forth his hand to God. So I'm asking you to stretch forth your hand to God, be in earnest struggle, and march out of these gates as a prince or princess. God bless you all. I wish you the great desires. I hope that God prospers all your affairs. And if I never see you again, I'm asking that you only will help another young person to achieve the great things I know that you'll achieve in your life. God bless you.